The Nintendo Switch 2 is getting closer to the reveal, and we've got some very interesting news to go over on a variety of different aspects with this system. So let's go ahead and jump right in with a placeholder, which might hint about the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 that has been hotly debated on this channel, in addition to other places as well. What is Nintendo going to come in with at the price for this system? We have all sorts of potential looming threats, like the potential tariffs, for example, or inflation that could hit this system. But Nintendo has came out recently and said, hey, look, we know that Nintendo products have an air of affordability to them, so we want to make sure that we keep that in mind. But recently, there has been a new placeholder that might say a bit more on this. Now, remember, Shintaro Furukawa said that they expect Nintendo Switch 2 to maintain the tradition of Nintendo affordable hardware, but they're not quite ready to talk about that price yet. Now, Costco Canada, an employee has taken to Famiboards to share something interesting GoNintendo is writing. They spotted behind the scenes the employee who shared photographic evidence. Notice that Costco's internal computer system had a Nintendo Switch placeholder listing. Along with that, they also had Nintendo Switch placeholder printout signage as well. What's most interesting is that this listing came with a price. Ooh, price tag on that one. According to the listing, this Nintendo Switch placeholder is priced at $499 Canadian. That would equate to roughly 350 USD. But it's important to note that the Nintendo Switch OLED retails for $450 in Canada, and we know the pricing here is $350. Now, with that in mind, it would mean that the listing would work out to be roughly 400 US dollars in the States here. Now, it's important to note here that the Costco employee makes it very clear that they honestly don't know what this listing is for, but they do note that they've never seen a placeholder like this before for anything. That would make it incredibly odd to have a placeholder for just some random Switch bundle, but not impossible. So now it remains a mystery. We're going to keep tabs on the situation, see what happens here. But I do feel that this placeholder or this price is right. Yes, we all love the price is right. This is right when it comes down to it, man. It's going to be $400. That's what I think, at least. I think that 400, before we start factoring in any type of crazy tariffs or inflation or anything, I think that's probably the price that Nintendo is aiming for. We don't know what's going to happen with some of the other stuff, but I do feel that that is the right price to go with. $400 gives you a bit of flexibility when it comes to what you can do with the Nintendo Switch 1 as well. That system, you can keep it right there at that price if you feel that you can still sell it at least somewhat after the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, because it still is priced underneath what this would theoretically be at the 400. Nintendo Switch OLED is 350, Nintendo Switch V2 is 300, and Switch Lite is 200. So you do have a range of systems. You can go with a little bit cheaper if you want, slash $50 off of each of the systems before with Nintendo Switch 1 and see how that works out. I think that overall, if you're looking at the quality of what the Nintendo Switch 2 will be able to do based off of just a little that we do know about the system, I feel that 400 is a right price for it. And I think that it will do well at that price as long as they have the banger software to back it up. And that's really what this is about. It's about the software to back up the price. It's about what they can do to make sure that they can sell the system at an efficient clip, which we are going to talk about in a bit in terms of the overall industry and how the Nintendo Switch 2 could bring things and kind of elevate what's going on right now. But yeah, I do think that 400 would be a good price. Maybe this means something, maybe it doesn't. We've gotten a number of placeholders that have all said around 350 to 400, so it seems likely that that's going to be around what the price will be. Now, I don't think it's going to be 350. That would be a miracle if this system is $350. There's no way, in my opinion, though, that they would price it the same as the Nintendo Switch OLED. That would be so aggressive. And man, they'd probably just sticker shock sell a lot. Just people saying, wow, that's such a great price. Maybe impulse buy for some people that maybe aren't even interested in it. But I do think that 400 is the sweet spot for the Nintendo Switch 2 based off of competing systems and based off of what we do know about it. So I do see that happening. I do think that there's going to be a lot more interesting things that they need to do in order to make sure that this system is taken off. And that's what the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is all about. And speaking of the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and interesting things, one of the more interesting things that you can do is subscribe to this channel, because we have all sorts of interesting content that we're going to be dropping. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and click the notification bell to get my videos as soon as they drop. Now let's talk about something else that's very interesting with the Nintendo Switch 2, and that's this new patent that has come up. And it's really crazy because what it's able to do is that the Nintendo Switch is able to rotate all around, very much like an iPad or very much like a tablet, where the picture can be rotated any type of way and it can be manipulated in that type of way. So let's get into what's going on with this new patent. This is from VGC, shout outs to them. They say a Switch 2 patent suggests its Joy-Con controls can be rotated. Players could be able to plug Switch 2 controllers into opposite ends. So a new Switch 2 patent suggests that the console could be played upside down should the player wish. As previously revealed in the official Switch 2 reveal video, Nintendo's next console will feature a different mechanism for attaching its new, larger Joy-Con controllers. Instead of sliding the new controllers onto the side of the console via a rail, like the original Switch 2's controllers attach via a slot on each side and are seemingly kept in place by a powerful magnet. Now, a new patent published by Nintendo suggests players may be able to turn the controllers upside down and plug them into the wrong side of the system. Instead of reporting an error, the patent suggests that Switch 2 could instead flip the display 180 degrees, essentially allowing the user to turn the system upside down. While this may not immediately seem like it would serve much purpose, the patent notes that because the Switch 2 only has one headphone port, players would therefore be able to decide whether to have it at the top or bottom of their console, depending on their preference. The user can use the game system by mounting the right controller and the left controller on the opposite side of the main body device. The patent reads, according to this, the user can use the game system in such a manner that the component becomes a favorable arrangement. For example, the user can use the game system so that the upper and lower sides of the main body device are opposite to each other, such that the voice input/output connector on the upper surface of the main body device is located below the main body device. That is, the user can insert the earphone into the voice input/output connector from the preferred direction. It should also be noted that while the USB port on the bottom of the Switch 2 is in the center of the system, the one at the top is off to the side. In theory then, Nintendo or third-party manufacturers could create USB peripherals for Switch 2, such as a camera, for example, which could sit on the middle of the console if the user plays with the system rotated and the middle USB port on the top. Nintendo officially revealed the Switch 2 last month with a teaser video showing off the console and Joy-Cons. The trailer appeared to show the Joy-Cons attaching to grips, then sliding across the ground much like a mouse would, before detaching from their grips and attaching to the Switch 2 console. This lent further credence to the previous reports that the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons are going to have an optical sensor, which you can then use as like a mouse for different games or even navigating menus or other things like that. Now, the one thing that people are talking about when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 is, where are the extra gimmicks? Where are the other things that you can do, which Nintendo has not revealed yet? But a number of patents have started to come out where we've explored some of these different things, and I think that's going to be the difference. Better functionality and creativity with the hardware, in addition to upgrades and additions that take what you like and make it even better and add in some other things for customization or a bit more sauce, as they say, overall. I think that the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons are going to have that mouse configuration to where you can play games with a joystick in one hand and a mouse in the other. There's even some patents, there's the dual mouse going on, which I don't know what you'd use that for, but if you wanted to, maybe that's going to be a thing. But if you combine that with some of this stuff right here, I do think that it creates a very intriguing system, because people love the Nintendo Switch. They just want something a bit more powerful. But if you actually add in some other stuff as well, it's going to create a pretty cool gaming device that's going to be very different from other types of devices. And these are the type of little things here and there that Nintendo's known for. It's kind of weird, and maybe a lot of people won't use it, but still, it's a cool thing to have, almost like tabletop play with sliding Joy-Cons and saying, okay, somebody can grab and play this type of way. So I do think that these are the type of little things that Nintendo is known for overall, that are kind of the experience that you would expect from them, to kind of do some quirky stuff like this. But I think it's going to work really well overall with what they want to do, with Nintendo's type of style of device and how they present their systems and everything. So I'm very excited to see this Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and what happens here, because I think it's going to be pretty crazy, some of the stuff that they do show off. But speaking of crazy, right now the industry is definitely a little bit of a slump. We really don't have massive sales overall with every single system, and things are a little bit lower. However, industry analyst Circana's Matt Piscatella believes that the Nintendo Switch 2 will get the market back to growth. Things have been at a little bit of a stalemate, but I do think that things are going to turn around, and that's how he feels as well. So Matt Piscatella, who works for Circana, video game software and hardware sales tracker in the United States, has said in a new video that he is a firm belief that the Nintendo Switch 2 will bring the video game market back to growth when it launches later this year. Let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 as well, coming out at the end of the year. Quote, if those two things do happen, talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 and the Nintendo Switch 2, and they do meet the expectations going into this year, I think you're looking at a low to mid single-digit percentage growth in the overall market spending on the video game products. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but it would result in a record spending on the consumer side. It would get the industry back to growth over that 2021 peak that we've previously seen. And a little bit of a thing, not that a lot of folks may be thinking about, is it gets investment flowing back into the gaming space. And that's really what it's about. I mean, people see video games sometimes as okay, they just make this so I can have enjoyment. And that's completely fine. If that's how you feel, you can feel that way. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And in order for us to get the best games, and in order for us to get the best stuff, we have to have sales. We have to have money flowing in. Otherwise, there's no games being funded. There's no Grand Theft Autos, or there's no Nintendo Switch 2s, or Marios, or Zeldas, or whatever you like to play. So at the end of the day, making sure that the Nintendo Switch 2 is a success, obviously a successful launch for Grand Theft Auto 6. These are all things that's gotta be crucial for the video game industry, and probably executives are thinking like, okay, we want to make sure that these things do well because it is going to elevate and bring a lot more money back into it. We're probably going to get a lot more PS5s, Xbox Series systems being sold when Grand Theft Auto 6 launches, and of course people are going to be very excited to see what Nintendo has with the Nintendo Switch 2, a new 3D Mario, a new Mario Kart, what's going to be happening with Zelda, what's going to be happening with Smash Brothers, other types of games that people just love to invest in, clearly, if you look at the Nintendo Switch. So I do think that all of that is very important, and yes, we can finally get back to that growth. So we do see more investment and more people coming in and saying, hey, I want to fund different games. I want to put more games on these systems. So I do think that it's important, and the Nintendo Switch 2 plus Grand Theft Auto 6 should be able to get that done. But there's been a guy that's been able to get a lot of things done when it comes to Nintendo, and he believes that Nintendo has a lot up their sleeves when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 that they just haven't shown yet. So former veteran Takuya Imamura has spoken to Games Radar about his thoughts with the Nintendo Switch 2, and he says that he believes that the Kyoto-based company still has something up their sleeves when it comes to the upcoming device. While the Nintendo Switch 2 was revealed in a teaser trailer, we haven't gotten full details yet. This is what he had to say, quote, "The Switch has had a really long lifespan and it sold really well, which must mean that this is something that is a global success," he says. "It's got supporters from all around the world, and I was thinking it would be difficult to really change that. But having said that, I think that they've got something up their sleeves." So yeah, I think that's the big thing here. What is Nintendo planning? Well, we went over a number of different things with the mice when it comes to the Joy-Cons. We went over what's going on with potentially being able to rotate the system. There are other patents when it comes to technology, being able to reduce game file sizes, being able to do a number of different things, DLSS. There's a lot of stuff that this system is going to be able to do over the Nintendo Switch 1, in my opinion. And if you look at it, the Nintendo Switch 2, they've had so much time in order to put together something. They've had a lot of time to formulate different ideas, to put together software because of the extended life of the Nintendo Switch 1. This is the most time that Nintendo's ever had in order to get something done, because in the past, they've actually had to move on a lot quicker because of rapidly declining sales, or because the software wasn't necessarily there, or because of what the competition is doing. But this time they were able to take their time. They're able to really look at the full slate of what they want to do overall when it comes to games and so many other things. And that's why I believe that not only is this going to be the best game lineup that Nintendo's had for the first year or so, I think it's actually going to meet or exceed what they did with the Nintendo Switch 1, but I feel that there's going to be a number of interesting and exciting things with this system. People want a better Switch, and they've got time to make a much better Switch overall. So I think that's what we're essentially going to get here. There is a, I would say, caution, don't fix, what's not broken overall, but at the same time, have some innovation spark, have something that you're also looking to drive to differentiate it from the Nintendo Switch 1. And I think that's going to be a challenge, but at the same time, like Mr. Takaya has to say here, that is something that Nintendo probably has up their sleeves. And we've seen a little bit of that based off the various patents that have came out. Now we just have to wait to see what Nintendo has to say officially on April 2nd. But that's going to wrap it up for this video here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.